It's November 29th, 2023, and tonight is the meeting of the Local Budget Committee, and we'll be talking about the Conservation Commission, our agency friends, and the library. We can
Mr.
do the
Chairman?
Pledge of Allegiance.
Mr. Chairman, I think Bob Lowen wants to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
No, he doesn't.
Paul, would you do the pledge for us?
Pledge allegiance to the
Paul White.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can just stay standing for a minute. Bob O'Brien, who was a member of the Budget Committee a couple years back and now is a police commissioner, he passed away, so if we could just do a moment of silence for Bob, I'd appreciate it. Very good, thank you.
That next one, 3 years.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything for us before we get started?
We do. To start off with, I'd like to hand it to Casey. She can tell you about our tax rate, which was set officially on Tuesday.
I received a preliminary tax rate on Wednesday around 4 o'clock, right before Turkey Day. Got on the Board of Selectmen's Monday night agenda. The board approved the preliminary rate. I hit the done button on Tuesday morning, and DRA hit the final tax rate. The current tax rate is $14.69. It's 11.1% increase or $1.47 increase. If you break it down, the town tax rate is at $6.02, which is 62 cents increase or 12%. The local school is $5.48, which is a 5-cent increase or 1%. The state education is $1.84, which is a 53-cent increase or a 40% increase. And the county is $1.35, which is 27-cent increase or 25%. An average home of worth $300,000, this would be about a $440 increase. And if you are in the Lower Beach District, there is an additional 11 cents. Lower Beach Pond, excuse me. Don't have an exact date on tax bills when they're going out. That was handed off to the tax collector on Tuesday morning. She's got to run it through the software, send it off to the billing companies. So we're looking somewhere in the first, maybe second week in December. And then it would be, the bills would be due 30 days later, which is probably going to be the first week or two in January. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to
I do,
answer.
Casey, that 300,000, we double it, it'll be 880 increase basically.
No, 440 would be the whole year, but since the first half of the bill was at the old rate, the 440 would be in the second.
Okay, but if I've got a $600,000 house, am I just going to double that 440 and that's what my rate's going to go up?
That's correct.
Okay. What does that, on the town side, what does that include, that 62-cent increase?
It included everything that was approved by the voters. In fact, last year when the town manager put up all the warrant articles with the tax impact, we were projecting a $6.06 increase, and we're at 6.02. Like the beautification petition warrant article didn't pass, and then there were some other minor things. But the operating budget, fire truck lease, Green Street, excavator, ASME contract, police contract, school resource officer, police vehicle, multiple capital reserve funds, Carpenter Playground, and Cape Park petition beautification.
So none of the new PD and fire station, that hasn't, not reflected in there at all?
No, that would be part of 2024's budget.
Yes, sir.
I have two questions, Catherine. The first one is, where are we with our assessed value as compared with last year's tax rate?
Good question.
Thank you.
We went up $31.9 million, so we've gone up from $2,420,000 to $2,452,000.
$2,422 million.
Billion, yes, sorry. Yes.
And all right. So, and my second question is, I just never knew this. So, I would like to know if the assessed value with utilities is used, or just the assessed value toward the tax rate?
With utilities is used for everything except for state education.
Oh, okay.
State education, and it's not, it's like $309,000 difference between the two.
And the with utilities is obviously a little higher, is the higher one. That's it for me, John. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, anything else?
Two other items. First of all, get the easy one out of the way. I did have a meeting with the Historical Society. They will be taking under consideration your request for them to do task items C and D within the request for proposal for the engineering at the schoolhouse. They don't have a board meeting until December 15th, so I won't know the definitive answer until December 16th. Additionally, if you tuned into the Board of Selectmen's meeting on Monday night, there was a conversation with the board regarding the disallowance of a warrant article with usage of unassigned fund balance. What I can tell you at this point is we instituted a budget freeze. We're working with department heads right now to identify the shortfall. We have to make up $547,000 based on that disallowance. I can't really get into a whole lot of other details at this point because we're actively working on it. I would say that pay attention to the December 6th Board of Selectmen's meeting. I anticipate at that point there'll be some decisions made about the path forward and how we're going to deal with this. We've been working with staff, with legal, with our auditor and New Hampshire DRA, and we'll get this hopefully concluded in fairly short order. That's all I really can say at this point, I think. If you do have questions, I'll take them, and more than likely I'll take them as questions with the understanding that I'll get back to you.
Okay. So on the schoolhouse, what's the rundown? Are they going to try to pay the money, or what are they going to try to do?
They're going to ask their board. He could not speak for the board.
I didn't hear the question.
I'll try to get what the answer was from the historical people on the schoolhouse.
Oh, thank you.
Another question, Jim, is when does engineering come in? When do you have to have engineering? I guess I look at the schoolhouse and it's kind of a square building, and why we're paying $50,000 or $60,000 to have engineering done or whatever, I can't remember what the amount was.
I believe it was 16.7.
Okay, and to do like a $100,000 project or $200,000, when do you decide that we need engineering?
Public building.
All public buildings will have engineering? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So we reduced the total number from 16,470 to 12,380. Task C is $1,820, and task D is $2,270. So I guess we're looking at about $4,000.
I think it was $4,090.
Right, that
I talked to them about.
Yeah, so that's it, John.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
I may be in the minority here, but what caused the disallowance and why, and how can we avoid that in the future, or is that not our purview, John?
In 2022, we had, Pop Whalen was approved for about $6 million. I'm going to use round numbers. We spent it all in 2022. However, the donation was not expected to come in until July of '23. So we didn't have an offsetting revenue to the expenses that we had in ¡22. So it depleted our unassigned
The cash account.
unassigned fund balance. So our unassigned, our fund balance is only $300,000, $302,000, when the voters approved town road upgrades of $850,000. So the difference between the $850 and the $302 is the $547 that they disallowed. Because they said on 12/31/22 we didn't have the money, which was correct. I mean, we didn't, but we have it now, and they didn't like that argument. I mean, we have plenty of cash now, but
Wow.
that we didn't have it on 12/31/22, and the voters should have known that was their position.
You have it now all but for 400,000,
About 6, yes,
600,000? You have it all but for 600,000?
that's correct.
Okay.
And they're making progress payments.
Yeah. And did the weather event we had
Yeah,
cause
so,
us to hit the cash account?
so the reason we're in this predicament, we found this out on Tuesday, November 21st. Town manager put a freeze on spending on 11/22, and almost all of that 850 had already been spent. A lot of it, or a big chunk of it, was to fix all the drainage and the roads from the July storm. We did put in a grant, the Public Works Director put in a grant over $1 million. We hope to get like 75% of that back, but we don't know when we'll get that, and we can't count on that money either at this point.
And I would say within that grant alone, the projects that were done between materials, overtime, and fuel, we were able to figure about 300,000 total. So, you know, we were looking at a breakdown of overtime labor, 20,000, equipment was 4,300 hours, which we've got 500 hours worth of fuel that we can account for there, and $99,000 worth of materials which were purchased, and $11,000 worth of equipment rentals for that storm, which have all been identified and submitted to FEMA for hopeful reimbursement.
John?
Yes, sir.
So, 547,000, is this possible to do with a month left in this budget year?
All of it?
Yeah.
No.
So, and is there a possibility the state will let you draw against the unexpended fund balance this year to even this out?
You know, they pretty much have a snapshot in time, and it's
They
over.
won't let you?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting legal counsel right now, and the board has not even heard all of it or discussed it at all, but there's different things that we can do. You know, do this, do that, don't do this, you know,
Yeah.
so that is what the board will be discussing on December 6th.
So this initial moving of the funds from the unexpended fund balance to pay down the shortage in your donations, that was approved by the select board under RSA, under New Hampshire RSA. How is it you got to take the money out of the surplus fund? What were the mechanics of it? Because the last time we did this, it came through the budget committee, but I know there are other ways to do it, including the select board making the approval.
No, so the voters in March voted for the 850,000, so that was the mechanism to take from fund balance. But we didn't have 850 in there, so the DRA said you can only spend 300 because you only have 300. But we've already spent 500.
And
So-
the reason why the board was comfortable, when we looked at the 2021 budget, there was over 4 million. So
Right,
we didn't think there was any. What we didn't realize is by allowing the money from the Friends of Pop to come in 2023, that it would cause the problem that we have. That it's just a timing
But
issue.
I
I
think
just
Bob's
want to.
question, though,
I
is
wanna-
did the Board of Selectmen say, let's move the money out of the unassigned fund balance into operations? Is that your
No,
question?
and that's what
That
I'm
was his
trying, if
question.
I could just finish his conversation, nothing has been done so far. The town manager and I have met with 4 department heads today, we got a few more on Friday. We're coming up with pockets of money that they're giving up to offset this, but the board hasn't even seen that list, it's not even
Yeah.
fully
Casey,
created.
I'm sorry. I think Bob's question was, did the Board of Selectmen take a vote to move $3.257,253 from the unassigned fund balance into paying for the bill for the pop rate? That's a
No.
No, okay. How did it move over?
It
I
doesn't
think,
move over. A warrant article says you have a permission to spend 6.
Right?
You're gonna take out a bond for 3 or 4, and you're gonna have a donation of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So 2 of those pieces happened and 1 didn't. You
So it
have-
just automatically moved.
We spent it. There's
You
no
spent it.
moving. There was no moving of money. We spent money and we
spent
didn't have
money.
an offsetting revenue.
Okay. Yep. By the way, the good news is, if I could, the good news is we have audits. That's great that we do this, so that there's no question about things. I mean, page 10 of the audit tells you what happened. Exhibit 19 of the audit tells you how it happened.
Right.
This is good news. Now, it's bad news that it happened, but it's good news. I was kind of with Bob. What's the likelihood in the next 20 days you're going to find $500,000?
May I ask a question?
Go ahead, Bobby.
May I ask a question about the funds that are coming in that we offset for the locker rooms at Pop Whalen versus what's coming in now in July, and how some of those funds are raised? I'm a little confused seeing in our finances that we used to recoup our advertising directly, and now I'm wondering why our advertising is going to Friends and then coming to us to offset this balance.
So that specifically, there was an agreement made with the Friends of Pop Whalen that there was a time period of, I believe it was 2 years, which they were able to utilize the advertising as part of their fundraising mechanism. Upon the completion of that 2-year time frame, that transfers back to the town of Wolfeboro, and the director of operations will take on dealing with all of the advertising, selling the ad space, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. During and leading up to the construction, the Friends of Pop Whalen were doing that legwork, and therefore there was a decision made to allow them to utilize those revenues as a fundraising mechanism, if I remember correctly. Is that what?
Yeah, and what is, and a lot of them are 3-year agreements.
Yep.
They've gone out, and I think they're about 38. I think
That used to be our direct revenue though. We
It
didn't-
will be, it
It will
will
be.
be this coming year.
But we're losing 2 years of that revenue that we're essentially robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Well, I think it was the
when-
fact that they went out and did the labor. You had nowhere near the amount of.
Well, we've had those, we've had
Not that
advertising
number.
at that rink, I
Not that
mean, for
number,
as long
but-
as I've been in town. I'm just wondering where that decision was made to use that towards the donation.
So I'm guessing, Bobby, what your issue is, and I can see it, is that advertisers that we were using prior to the rink being built could have or maybe should have stayed with going direct to the town, and any new advertisers that they picked up and new contracts could have gone to them and then come to the town as donations.
Potentially, I mean, we're offsetting revenue they owe the town where the voters did not authorize to give up our revenue and hand it over to a nonprofit just to hand back to us.
The voters don't,
I think that's a Board of Selectmen
Yes.
decision. So the Board of Selectmen decided
yeah,
to let that happen
that's correct.
in a meeting,
The public meeting.
in a public meeting,
And a signed agreement.
and a signed agreement.
I got one more, John.
Go ahead, Bob.
So, if I'm reading this correctly, I have experience with 2 other warrant articles with private donation. One was this building, the other was Town Hall. And I believe in both those situations, we either had the cash on hand or legal pledge for the donation. In the case of Town Hall, I believe it was $750,000. And in the case of this building, I believe it was about 1.3 mil, 1.4 mil, something like that. And I believe in those scenarios, we had the money either in hand. I think the town, both groups of Friends set up nonprofits to hold that money, and then the money that wasn't in hand yet was part of a legal promise on the part of the people who were donating. And I'm guessing that didn't happen in this scenario, in this case?
Correct. A lot of those had a number of year lead up. Think about how long it took us to pass the town hall. So their pledges and time to raise those pledges were the 3 years beforehand. Same thing with the library. I think it took us about 10 years before we finally came to the final decision there. Over those times, they had the pledges, and my understanding is with the library, they didn't just hand over the 1.3 million. When it got to the town had a bill, they got a certain amount from the foundation. So they still were collecting some of their pledges, but were paying out as the bills came due. What happened with the Friends is this thing fell apart, we had inflation, and they didn't have the years prior to raise their money. And so the board, and I didn't vote on any of this because I'm on the Friends of Pop, so I want to make that clear, gave the Friends the opportunity to take that year to raise their 2.7, and they came 2.1.
Okay, so.
And they didn't have the lead time, is really different. One thing I think that I can say as a select woman, they'll have money on, we'll have it from now on before we go forward.
Well, I'm with you on that. We obviously, this is a bit of a sticky wicket here. We have to be very careful with this.
The problem is that it crossed years.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the problem. It's
Yeah.
only a 6-month window. We have we have the money that would have covered this 500,000, but,
Okay, thank you. That's it, John.
All set? All set, Jim?
Yeah. So I would say watch the
Stay tuned.
December 6th meeting.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, let's do Conservation Commission.
Thanks, Jim.
Lenore Clark?
Planning and zoning, Deb?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Just give him a second to get to
Yeah, oh, you're welcome. That'd be crazy. Okay, excellent.
So it's under the Planning and Zoning tab on page 23 is the Conservation Commission.
Just so the board is aware, you can refer to your books. However, I printed out a copy of the current year-to-date expenditures, because the one in the books or online, whichever one you're looking at, is as of 10/31. And there's been many bills processed since then, that it was a significant amount that I thought I would print it for you.
All right, thank you again. Can I just get you to introduce yourself?
Sure, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm Lenore Clark. I am the chairperson of the Conservation Commission, and I think the 4th year now.
Can you
Happy
just-
to answer whatever questions you folks have.
Can
We
you
are
just
not
give us a little discussion of what you folks do, what you guys do?
Absolutely. So the Conservation Commissions were created in the late 1960s by Governor King's administration. And any municipality can vote to have a Conservation Commission, which Wolfeboro did. I'm not sure exactly at what point. But we have kind of a broad mandate, which is to simply help protect the town's natural resources and help ensure the proper utilization. That can be interpreted a lot of ways, and one of the ways that we choose to do that is by acquiring land or acquiring conservation easements on land. We also provide recreational opportunities for the citizens, and as you folks might remember, for the last few years we've been picking the invasive species battle and trying to get a handle on some of the town properties that are being invaded by bittersweet and other invasive species as well. So we do a little bit with water quality, although now that we have the Wolfeboro Waters Committee in town, we tend to focus more on the land and let them handle the water, but there's a little bit of crossover there as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let's start with the 100 series. 200. 300. 400.
490. Could you explain to us why we're $1,200 off here for next year?
Yes, that was my bad. That was simply, it was I was looking at a spreadsheet that had an encumbered amount listed for that particular line item, And I misinterpreted that and thought that that meant we had extra money left over from the previous year. And I was not paying attention to the fact that I was looking at the wrong column. I wasn't looking at the actual amount we had already spent. I just looked at the encumbered amount and thought, oh, okay, we've got a little bit of extra money.
Okay.
We had been planning to pay for this one vendor out of this other account, but because we've got extra money in there and it's a related account. So that was an error on my part, and as soon as I realized that, we sort of implemented our own spending freeze within the
So
commission.
you're doing a spending freeze on that one?
Not doing a spending freeze on that line, and we just don't, at this point, now with 1 month left in the year, we don't have any anticipated expenses that would need to be paid in the next 4 weeks other than our part-time staff's salary. So more like, what I mean by that is we would not initiate a new project in the next 4 weeks. That's what I mean. It's probably a little bit different than a town.
So you're
spending freeze.
able next year to stay within the budget of 3,000?
I believe
Then
so.
on that item?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, that's, our 5-year average is right around there, so, yeah. So, and I apologize for that, but we will keep within our bottom line
Okay.
budget.
Any other questions on 400?
How you doing, John?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question on 491. We're doing this again. You use glyphosate? Is that what's being used?
It's whatever our contractor recommends for that particular instance. So, because he takes a very individualized approach to the projects. He walks the ground, he looks at how things are looking compared to the previous year, what's growing back, what's under control, and then he makes his plan from there. So he's not just sitting in an office somewhere creating a plan saying, I'm going to use glyphosate, or I'm going to use triclopyr as the other one, or I'm going to do a mechanical removal. He gets on the ground and looks at it and decides what's best based on his many years of experience in doing this. So sometimes we do use glyphosate and sometimes we don't. Depends on the situation. To remove a Norway maple, for example, he would just cut it down with a chainsaw.
Is this mostly for bittersweet?
Oh boy, there's bittersweet's the most visible, but there's also common buckthorn, glossy buckthorn, multiflora rose. I'm not sure if I can come up with the whole list right now. I know we certainly have Japanese knotweed. That's a common one, and I'm sorry, I don't even know if it would be glyphosate or if it would be the triclopyr, which is the other one for the knotweed. So I'm not sure. He doesn't specify. Okay, I use this on this plant and this on this plant.
If I recall correctly, last year you were concentrating a lot on the old rail trail.
Not on the rail trail. No, that's not us. No, that
Okay,
would be that was probably the rail trail
Where
committee.
do you concentrate your efforts?
So far, it's a great question. So far, we've been focusing our efforts on the Front Bay Park, where there's about a 1 mile trail, an ADA accessible trail there, and comes out, and there's a little spur that takes you down to the Front Bay so you can look out over the water. Town's Garden, which is at the end of Goodrich Road. You could look through the library, you could see it right there. And then the other one is Goodwood's Basin, which is along the rail trail. Maybe that's what you're thinking of, probably Goodwood's Basin, but we're not on the rail trail side. We were on the other shore.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, 500 series, 600 series, and 800 series.
Hold on, go
Yep.
past 610. Can you explain the jump? Because you had 116 in 2022, you're at 305, and you're asking for 500. Is that somewhere
I
where?
think that, let's see, the general operating supplies, that was because this year we ordered we wanted vests that had pockets. We got sick of carrying around hammers and nails and little tree tags without pockets. So that was, would not be an ongoing expense. That would be.
So for next year, your budget's actually going up, should that be going down?
I believe we did not ask for any increases.
The budget is level. Her spending is lower, but her
That's what
but
so
her-
is that somewhere where you can cut?
Well, we won't be ordering vests next year. And cut how much? What are we talking about?
Well, you were at 116 in 22, and you're at 305 this year, and you're saying you had an extra purchase.
General operating supplies. Let's see, we have a 5-year average of 311. So, ask for 500. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted to take out 200 there, we could most likely make that work. We could try. I know we stocked up on marking. One of the things we spend that on is the spray paint that you use to mark boundaries. We've been trying to make a concerted effort. Some of our properties hadn't been walked in a long time, and the blaze paint gets old, so we go out there and refresh that. But I know we just stocked up on that. I can't think. There's the tree tags.
Yeah.
That would be sort of a recurring expense because they get old, they get rusty.
So is there anything you need more of next year? Just because we're like,
Possibly
you
the
know,
tree tags. I know we're set on paint, but tree tags is something we might be, yeah,
is that going to pop you up to that 500 or?
it could.
I know at this point we're just,
could because it's
we're
hard
just
to know.
kind of pinching now.
I know. I know, but we're in the same boat as everyone else with, you don't really know how much it's gonna cost until you need it, and everything's gone up. So, I mean, if you wanted to take off 100, it would probably not kill us.
Okay, I guess we'll move on. I don't hear any motions. So, 800. Okay, so the proposed budget for 2023 is, let's see here. Excuse me, 2024 is $22,700, which is a 3.40% increase from 2023.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Lenore, great to see you. Are you funded, this is not the generosity question, but it's a question to just get a perspective on invasive species management. Are you funded adequately to do your job?
As long as we weren't specifically about invasive species, you mean?
Just as a conservation committee, we're here looking at budgets, and they're important, but the question always starts with, what's the job I gotta do? And am I funded adequately to get it done? Because we can probably nick a couple $100 out of your budget. But are you funded adequately to do what you need to do?
I feel like we do a very good job with the resources that we are given. We find ways to match it. For example, we have a grant that we'll be receiving some funding from once we get the conservation easement closed. So it's always a bit of a struggle. I think that's true for every department. I don't think we're alone in that.
Right.
Could always use more money.
Should
but then we tend to work within, we try to work within our means.
Okay.
So
You answered the
the hard question to answer.
Okay, no, thank you.
Okay, I guess we're all set with you. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming
Mark.
in.
Have a great holiday, everyone. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
You too, thanks. Okay, let's go to agencies.
How about library?
What's that?
Library is supposed to be first.
Well, we've got people that come down from Conway and a few other places. Thank you.
I was just going back to the agenda.
Doing agencies, John?
Yeah. We've done welfare.
No,
right?
I know it.
Okay, grant of DNA. Grant of DNA. I'm doing the agencies first. Okay, thank you. Grant of DNA. Everyone was sent a letter?
It's my understanding that everybody had correspondence at their meetings tonight.
Did these folks turn up for the selectmen's meeting?
I believe they did.
Yes, they did.
Everybody did
The
except
only-
for the bottom one, which was
Right.
zeroed out. Sorry.
Yep, exactly.
This seems to happen every year to us, where we have this meeting for the agencies, and half of them don't show up, and then we have to reschedule another meeting. How does the committee want to handle this? Do you want to reschedule another meeting later on, or do you want to send type a message to see if these folks will actually seriously come here and meet with us?
John,
Yes, sir.
I believe Granite DNA has been with us for a long time, correct? And we've been,
Yeah, they've been here for years.
yeah, and I believe, in my time here, I believe this is the first meeting they missed. They're usually pretty reliable in attending our meetings, so I think it would be a little vicious to cut it. So I would suggest we find a date or add it to a date, make a secondary shot at reaching out to any agencies who are not here this evening and give them another chance.
Yes, Paul.
So I think it's right, there's a protocol here that there's an expectation that folks show up. But I'd ask a question of the Board of Selectmen. So when you looked at this budget, did you make any adjustments to it?
We did not do the Lakes Region Visiting Nurse Association.
But the VNA team? You
No,
making
we did not.
No adjustments to it?
And they came on time and stuff. I'm
Same line
surprised.
thing? I don't know any more about the Visiting Nurses Association than the Board of Selectmen knows and the town manager knows that Amy knows. And I think I agree with you, John, it's a protocol, there's an expectation, but I'm not sure we're gonna learn anything else. I would move that we just approve their budget.
Second.
Paul moved to just approve their budget as it is, and it was seconded by Bob.
Yes.
Bob Bowman.
Question?
Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion, so go ahead and.
Yeah. I'm just thinking how fair that is to other agencies that do show up for our meeting in an equitable situation.
That's fair.
Their office is in town, isn't it? Isn't it Bay Street? Isn't it Bay Street?
No, it's down what's in the Autobahn.
But
Oh, no,
it's
yeah.
It's on Bay Street, right?
No, Granite State DNA is right, is in the.
It's where the old McDonald.
Okay, but it's in Wolfeboro.
Yes, it's
Yes,
in Wolfeboro,
okay.
yes, not,
Okay.
yes, it is in Wolfeboro.
Across from Weston
Yes.
Auto.
Yes, correct. Yes, Weston Auto.
Any other discussion? I'm not gonna support this particular motion, because I think we're expected to review what these folks spend their money on, even though it's only $22,000, it's still $22,000 of the taxpayers' money. And I don't think it's too much to ask to have someone come here for 5 minutes to talk to us about what they're gonna spend the money on. That's just my opinion. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Bobby Blumer.
I watched them at the select board meeting and read their paperwork, so I'm gonna actually vote yes.
Bob Teffer.
Yes.
John McDonald.
No.
Tom Bell.
No.
Bob Mulholland.
Yes.
Matt Clash.
No?
Bob Lohman.
Yes.
Paul O'Brien.
Yes.
And Brian DeShazer.
Yes.
6-3.
Okay, motion passes. So do we just send all these folks home, Paul, or
Pardon me?
you want to send all these folks home, or is that just for the V&A?
I'll take them one at a time.
Okay. Meals on Wheels.
Hello. I'm Haley, I'm the program director for Meals on Wheels. I've been there a little over 2 years now, but this is my first meeting with you all, so thank you for having me. A little bit about our program, I'm sure most of you are very familiar, we've been around for years. We run Meals on Wheels out of the Huggins Hospital. We serve Tuftonboro, Wolfeboro, and Brookfield, but the majority of our participants are in Wolfeboro and do receive some sort of subsidization, whether that's a 50% discount or full discount, and that's many thanks to Wolfeboro supporting our programs. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, how many people do you serve?
Well, right now, obviously it fluctuates, but right now we average about 55 participants a day, 5 days a week.
You seen a rising cost on
Oh,
on food costs?
Well, fortunately, Huggins has not raised the cost of the meals that come out of the kitchen there. We do also provide individual milk and snack, and those costs have been going up with the price of everything else. We are negotiating a new contract this year with Huggins, so we're not sure what to anticipate, but we haven't heard anything about our costs going up. So we anticipate that they're going to be staying the same at least for the next few years.
John?
Yeah.
I did have a question about it. So, and maybe you don't know the answer, are the meals that the food that you're being provided with, is that food being subsidized by federal grants?
No, we don't receive any state or federal
Is
funding.
the hospital,
Oh, the hospital?
the hospital.
Not that I'm aware of. My understanding is that what we pay for is the cost of the food that they pay. So I don't believe if they do get any funding from the state or federal government, I don't think that it goes into our program's preparation at all.
And for John, the reason I'm bringing it up is other places, I'm understanding that there are federal grant monies for meals and food and support services that have a tail on it, meaning those federal grant monies end and probably won't get renewed. And so while these costs may be where they are now, they could see
They
a
could go
precipitous
up.
increase.
They could go up.
But not now.
But not, yes,
Okay.
yes, and we work really closely with the folks at Huggins, and it's my belief that they would have warned us if
Thank you.
there was something looming like that.
Okay, thank you.
The drivers, they don't just drop off their meals at the house, they also have some contact with some people who, probably that's the only people they see the whole day, or,
Yes, we do, we actually require that participants allow a wellness check if they're not receiving a wellness check from another family member or another professional daily. So for anyone who doesn't have someone visiting every day, we do always check in with them physically.
was there financial, you have to make so much money to get this, anyone can get the service?
Correct. It's not financial, and it's not age. The requirement is that you have some disability, mental, physical, cognitive, that doesn't allow you to prepare or procure ingredients for meals. So most of our participants are homebound, or they're the full-time caregiver of a homebound individual. So a lot of the time it will be, a wife who can no longer drive and is an ambulatory, and her husband's taking care of her home, full-time, and he's also elderly with his own health issues, even if he's still driving, so.
Just for clarity, my mother participates in this program. I find it a very valuable program, not just for her, but for a lot of people that I talk to throughout the town. And I'm going to be in a motion to increase that to $10,000.
Second.
Any further discussion?
One question would
Yes,
be,
ma'am.
what other support do you get other than from us?
Private donations. So we do have a couple of private grants locally, but most of it is grassroots. We get a lot of, $10, $25 checks from our annual appeal letter, which I'm sure you all receive, so.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just have to say, thank you all, thanks to the community. It's an amazing community to be in. We're very well supported by our volunteers and our private donors, so we really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I had a question. Are you a charitable entity,
We are.
the 501?
Yes, sir.
Are the basis for the 10,000, John?
I didn't say 10,000.
I thought you
I
said increase it by
want to
10,000.
increase it to 10,000.
I thought
Yeah.
I heard increase it by 10,000.
No, to 10,000.
I would be
Fall back to
I would be
applause,
in
just
tears
about
over
it. Just increase it to 10,000, to the amount
But it's still
10,000.
the same question.
I think they can expand the program, and I'm a little concerned about the future, more people going on using the Meals on Wheels program itself.
Increased cost.
Yeah, and the increased cost.
But you didn't say you had any increased costs.
We have had increased costs.
Nice.
Not only do we have more participants and more participants who are, I didn't actually address that, but we do have a number of participants who are receiving support who weren't asking for it. We're paying at least for the cost of their meals up until recently, but we do have more and more people calling and saying that they can't afford the meals. That's reflected, everyone, I'm sure, most of you have heard about that. There's a lot more poverty and insecurity in the elderly population, and we're definitely seeing that, in addition to the increase in our food costs. So I can say that our costs are going up. I don't know if we necessarily need the, $2,500 this year, but we may not know what to expect.
Got it.
I understand the gesture.
So right now, we're basically paying 89 cents per meal for Wolfeboro. If you're serving 8,440 participants in Wolfeboro, you're asking us for 7,500. John, you're gonna increase it. That's 89 cents per meal, leaving out the gas and everything else.
From Wolfeboro. We don't pay our drivers gas. So
Okay.
that's provided by Carroll County RSVP. Our drivers are totally volunteer, and
Okay.
any mileage that they're reimbursed is reimbursed through a different organization.
But
So-
those cents are not taking into account private donations, too.
Yeah. no,
That's the,
no,
and
no,
that's what we're subsidized by private
Yeah.
donations as well.
So my next question is, how much did you grow this year, and how much do you think you're gonna grow next year?
In terms of,
How much, what was, if you served, how many did you serve the year before?
our increase has only been about, I think it's $1,000 a year for the past, or 1,000 meals a year for the past several
So
years.
you're doing another,
So over the course of the year though, so.
okay.
I have a question. Should we change the optics a little bit? If John's mother uses the service and John makes a motion to increase the dollar value of the service, does that create a bad optics for the budget committee?
Not to me.
To me, it does.
I'll make the motion if we need to.
Fine, I'll withdraw my motion. I figured since I identified myself as ethically, I was covered, but apparently people feel differently, so I'll withdraw my motion.
He doesn't gain anything from it, so it wouldn't have been on that.
I'll then substitute the motion and make it to increase this budget to $10,000, not by $10,000.
And I'll second that.
7,500 to 10,000, a $2,500 increase.
John, I had a question. I'm looking at the balance sheet, and it looks like you have $390,000 in assets.
That's an endowment that we received in, I think it's 2021, the beginning of 2021, so,
That's in Vanguard.
yes, so it's all in investments, yeah.
Is that a restricted?
It is restricted, yeah. So what we're able to, right, what we would be able to use as the interest on that amount,
Right.
so, yeah. And it's been up and down, so we haven't been trying to use any of it.
Move the question.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate your comments. I'm going to step down as the chair, and Bob, you do the honors, so there's no question that I didn't try to influence anyone.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to increase this line from 7,500 to 10,000. Is there any further discussion on this motion in the committee? Seeing no further discussion, Leanne, would you please take a roll call vote?
Bobby Boodman?
Yes.
Bob Tucker?
Yes.
John McDonald?
Abstain.
Tom Bell?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Matt Plosh?
Yes.
Bob Loman?
No.
Paul O'Brien?
Yes.
Brian Shays?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, I really appreciate your
Thank you
consideration.
for coming in.
Just one question. When I look at your request previously, you've asked for $2,500 from Tufton Borough and $1,000 from Brookfield. Are you asking for those same amounts from those communities again this year?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we have, I think we've asked for that same amount for a number of years now.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you very much.
Children's Center? Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Terry Ann Cox. I'm the Executive Director at the Children's Center, right down the road. I am including this evening a new copy of our July 2023 through June 2024 budget, because I believe all the materials that you had went through our audit and the closure of the last fiscal year. So I felt it would be helpful, and I apologize if I was supposed to have included that back a few months ago. But as you know, the Children's Center is proudly approaching our 50th anniversary in 2024. So next year you'll hear a lot about the center, and we are respectfully asking for level funding of $10,000 to support Wolfeboro families. What I want to underscore tonight is to continue to change the narrative of what these tax dollars go toward. In the past, it's always been viewed as for children in need. Yes, that is true, but I think it's really important that we look at the mission of the center, which includes affordable, high-quality childcare and early education. Every single family, their tuition is subsidized. And that's, I think, a really great kept secret. A typical cost, for instance, for an infant, for an annual childcare 5 days a week, it exceeds $10,000. We subsidize every family, though, on average of about $4,000. So in addition to monies obviously being set aside for families who are in need, I just think it's important that all 150 are getting a benefit because we are a nonprofit, and that's what our founders really felt was critically important to the families. Some additional context just to provide. Of the sum applied last year, about 39% did go to the accounts of Wolfeboro families specifically. We are this year, in addition to asking Tufton Borough to support their families, we've reached out to Ossipee. And that was an interesting budget committee meeting to go to because we were newer to them. Again, we don't serve just Wolfeboro families. We serve families across 11 different, 9 to 11 surrounding towns. Also wanted to mention that we are really, I wouldn't say struggling, but the question that was formally asked, if I may, do we have enough money to do the job that we do every day? My answer now is no, because we don't pay the workforce behind the workforce a fair wage. And we continue to compete with our teachers with salaries or wages that dishwashers here in Wolfeboro receive at the restaurants. So we need to also change that narrative, and that's why SB 237 and other state advocacy groups are trying to get, again, a change in the narrative that we need to pay these educators. They're brain builders, they're not babysitters. They have associate's degrees in understanding how to care for our youngest children. And so I do hope that we'll continue to have provisions coming from the state and the federal level, but until then we rely on the municipalities, we rely on our parents to pay tuition, and we rely on the generosity of the community, which is huge. We have many, many donations that come in every year, and we'll be pushing to continue to raise more money in 2024. Our loss, if you take a look at our balance sheet, I like to use average money or average terms, which gets a little dangerous, but we're short about $500,000 every year. We are able to draw from our endowment to help close that gap, but it's still not enough. But we are committed to not passing on the expense to the families at this point in time. So we'll continue to fundraise, and if we exceed our fundraising goals, we will give the money back to the town of Wolfeboro. But tonight, I'm asking again for level funding of $10,000 to help the children whose families cannot quite meet their tuition cost. But I'm open to certainly questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you.
Question, John?
Yeah.
The municipal and town contributions that are made, I'm looking at your sheet here.
Yes.
What category of revenue do those go into?
Very good question. Let me scan down. Those would fall under
What line are you looking at, Bob? Sorry.
He's looking at our
Children's
revenue.
Center
So
sheet that you just handed
the
out. My
new
question
ones?
is, the municipal contributions from all the towns,
Yes.
contribute, I want to know what category they fit into on this sheet.
So 404, 405, under contributions, so right underneath.
$486,600.
Yes, yes, that's where it's embedded.
I kind of thought that was the case, but I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yeah.
John?
Yes.
I'm wondering how much else would be in Tufton Borough.
Great question. Tufton Borough actually has been level funded. They went up 2 years ago in 2021. Their new annual funding is $3,000. It mostly covers the cost, or nearly covers the cost of the families in need. We also are able to cover for the town of Wolfeboro with the Mirror Lake Community Church, which gives us a donation annually. As far as Ossipee, I requested $5,000. Not so sure that that will be what they will determine is the right amount first year, but that's what I did request. What I've seen is, frankly, the amount of need in Wolfeboro has gone down a little bit, and it's shifted specifically to Ossipee as families have moved to Ossipee, primarily based on what we hear anecdotally as more affordable housing.
Is Ossipee a separate warrant article
Separate warrant article.
For
Help me
your-
out, John, with your.
for your organization?
Yes, I mean, I
It's not part of the budget, it's going to be a separate warrant article on there, their warrant.
yeah, I mean, they would need to go, no,
I don't know how
I don't
they
know
work.
how they're, we were
How
just
they're
invited
funded.
in. I made it past 2 stage gates and was invited in to
Did you
present.
talk to the budget committee up there or the selectmen?
I made it through the selectmen and I went to the budget committee. So they're probably wrestling with, and they had, I don't know if I should speak out of turn, but
Just be
there were some
brief.
that they wanted to bring down. There were some that they were discussing level funding, and they were looking for new funding for potentially new agencies that they wanted to support. So within their larger budget of agency spending, I'm hopeful that we may have a small piece of that pie.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, thanks. The program revenue number, line 400, is that the play out from the investments?
No, that is the program revenue that we receive based on
Okay.
parent fees. If you
Well,
look on
parent
the,
fees were 401, 400 per, so where does the play out from your investments hit the income statement?
so if you look on the back, for example, our net operating revenue is projected to be about 356,000 short.
So you just go and take that out of...
We do quarterly get disbursements from Fidelity
I
as
see.
we need them, and that will cover the gap.
I see, I got it.
And it's from your board of trustees.
Correct, which is a
The board-
separate.
They have 2 different boards, board of directors, board of trustees. So the board of trustees manage all the investment and they pass the money over to the operating budget.
And we draw between 3.5 and 4, about on average 4% from those.
That's what I was gonna say, so your play out from the investments would be, if you're not doing an UPMIFA, it's a 4% play out of 312.
Yes, sir.
And you got a 355, so you're gonna go find 45.
Correct.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Correct, yep, you got it.
Can I ask
Makes
a
sense?
question?
Go ahead, Bobby.
Yes,
Your state funding, the state child care scholarship funds,
yes,
has that been updated for the new Mama Bis bill and
Yes.
all those other
yes,
bills are in
it
there?
has, it has.
Okay.
We are a little bit behind. If you were to take a look at our monthly, that has taken them a while.
Okay.
To put all those things into play. But we are, for instance, now able to receive monies based on enrollment and not attendance.
Okay.
So we have seen a little bit of a bump in that year over year. So that will help.
Okay. And then another question, are you taking advantage of any ESA funds or any EFA funds?
Tell me what ESA and EFA
Go
are.
ahead, John.
Because I live in the land of ARPA and COFR and
Okay.
other, but what are ES? John, if you could help me.
Okay, any other questions for,
Okay,
the
I'll
Church
answer
Center?
then. The education savings account funds
Oh, no.
that our local,
No.
some of our local businesses can deduct from their business enterprise taxes by funding you directly?
No.
Do you have anything going like that right
No, we do not
now?
have anything received that. Perhaps the closest, I mean, the school district revenue you might be curious about. School district revenue, we are the placement for Wolfeboro. We have children 3 to 5 who have individual education plans or in the special ed program. They're placed, we provide the services, and they reimburse us for those costs. So that's what the school district revenue is.
John,
Yes, sir.
you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. A few of the folks on this committee and our finance director and our town manager probably don't remember that we used to allocate $20,000 a
Yes,
year
right.
to the Children's Center. And one year, former director Susan Whiting
Yes, sir.
came to us and said, we don't need $20,000 a year. All I'm going to ask for is $10,000 a year, and you have continued that request. You mentioned a little while back that if a government was giving you too much money and you felt it was too much, you would gladly give it back, and your agency has done it in the past.
Yes.
You know, so you're definitely very good at working with the town and other towns. So not that this is not a good year, I'm not suggesting we raise it this year, but I always remember that. And, you know, if things get worse for you, you know, I would suggest that this committee would be open to accepting any request for increases in year one.
Again, I echo the person that was sitting in my chair previously. Thank you very much for that generosity. And I will, as what's going to continue to drive our cost is payroll. Our average hourly rates have increased by 13%. I've been able to have a very supportive board of directors. Right now, we are pushing hard on the state to get state funding to provide, and I've been part of several advocacy groups, and we have been able to, with SB 237 and others, get those monies. There's another $3 million that has just been set aside for operating expenses that can be offset so that we can retain and pay our workers. So as long as that continues to have momentum, I feel a level funding is appropriate. However, and recognizing that it's not just those who can't afford, it's really keeping the subsidy there for all. I really do appreciate that potential open window. It means a lot. We would like to also continue to increase our enrollment. We are a tourniquet right now because we don't have enough staff. I have 30 children on the wait list, which in my mind's eye are 30 parents who aren't able to work. So as soon as I can hire and I have not been fully staffed since November of last year. As soon as we can get there, we're close. I'm 2.5 head count FTEs short, but as soon as we get there, we will be able to bring more children into the center, and that is also my goal. We're part of the ecosystem, and it's critical. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Oh, thank you for coming in.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
so much. Have
All
a
the
good
work
holiday.
you guys do. Front County Community Action Program. Are they gonna get a pass like the other group? Everyone have them come in?
The second, or third largest line item.
I do have a question.
I can't answer it, unfortunately. Does that mean you like to have them come in, or just to rely on what the selectman question is about?
May I ask the Board of Selectmen if they met? And may I ask
Certainly
if
do
they-
anything you'd like, sir.
We have a major problem here.
What do you got?
I'm asking permission to.
Oh, no,
ask-
go ahead, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you guys review their numbers?
we went through with them like we did every one of the
So
nonprofits.
you saw all of the aids?
Right.
Except
Every
the-
one came.
Some of them took it more, except for the one that we didn't fund, but some of them took more than one shot.
Yeah, you're
So
missing.
you basically have seen, they came to the Board of Selectmen.
Yep. Some missed the first, and they came at later meetings.
Okay.
Did they miss the
And you're
first, they
happy?
missed the first
Excuse me?
night, right? Yeah, they missed the first night.
Yeah, I think we have
I did.
tri-county.
Tri-County Cap
Yeah.
and CASA missed, and Lakes Region VNA didn't come up on round 1 or round 2. Lakes Region VNA.
And you're happy with the numbers? Okay, thank you. It's all yours, John.
I'm going to make a motion that these people be sent a letter and ask them to appear before us, and I'd like to speak to my motion. If there's anybody that will second it, I'd appreciate
Second.
it. Thank you.
What's your motion, John?
That these folks be sent a letter asking them to come and talk to us. Again, I appreciate the hard work the selectmen do, but we've had a couple of examples here where you guys have had a lot of questions. Why ask the questions? Why not just rely on the selectmen? That's what we're not here for. We're here to ask questions, to be a second group to find out what the money's being spent on. I think the selectmen do a great job. But if you want to go by everything they say, then fine. Why do we even have a budget committee? We don't even have to review any of the budgets. We just go by what the selectmen say. I don't think it's unreasonable when people ask for money that they can show up here and give us 5 to 10 minutes of their time. When you look at some of these groups, they've got $3-4 million in their coffers or their pockets or whatever. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Mr. Chairman,
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
We just increased Meals on Wheels by 10,000. That wasn't part of what the selectmen,
2,500.
to 10,000. That wasn't part of what the selectmen did, so we actually contributed in our discussions and our vote. So, not to ask these others to come in, you know, we could, as Bob Tupper just offered, consider increasing, consider decreasing, but without the opportunity to do it, our hands are tied.
See, and if I could, my perspective on this is, it's just my personal perspective. I know no more about these community programs, and I don't expect that I can learn much more in a 5 or 10 minute chat. I spend my time worrying about how the town operates its departments. I depend upon folks like Amy and others to make sure that we don't have duplication of things that are taking place here. But no disrespect to and I respect what John wants to do, but no disrespect to I can't learn much in a 5 to 10 minute chat other than a visceral gut thing, and I don't find that's a good way to spend the town's money.
As somebody who's been on this committee for a couple of years, I do know what these folks do.
Great.
So maybe
Should we
need
raise
to-
their budget?
Maybe we need to, what?
Should we raise their budget?
Who?
Well, Tri-County, this is the one that's on the table. Should we just raise their budget or lower their budget?
We have not had the opportunity to see them. The way I look at it is, if we don't do this, what do we have, to John's point, Mr. Chairman?
Anything else from anybody? Any more comments?
Yeah, John,
Yes, sir.
I'm tending to agree with you that, you know, we're here to review the budget and ask the questions. Otherwise, why have a budget committee? Why bother to be here? So
And a budget committee that was voted in by
Yeah.
the voters.
And so I think they should come in. I mean, I'd have some questions to ask. I mean, I'm looking at their year-to-date and, you know, it looks like they're over budget. This year, I'm just wondering what's going on. But they're a big organization. I think we're barely a drop in the ocean compared to the total.
I'm just waiting on that.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Actually, at this point, I think we should be consistent. We allocated money to Granite V&A without them being here. That's what we decided to do. I had recommended that we reach out to them and arrange a second visit. For us to reach out to Tri-County and request they come in would be would be inconsistent with what we did with Granite V&A. What I would suggest, this is a two-pronged approach. I would suggest this evening we evaluate each one. If there are other agencies who are not here, we evaluate each one by our past experience with them and by the select board's experience this year with them, and make a decision whether to allocate the money or not. And the second part of this two-pronged thing here is next year, I believe when we communicate with them, we set down some ground rules that if your agency does not show up, we will give you another shot at it. We will schedule a second meeting, and if you do not show up for the second meeting, then we will have to make a cut to the line, either half or all. So I think this year we should be consistent, and I think next year we should take care of the issue the way I offered it up. So that's what I'm saying.
If you want to talk about consistency, as long as I can remember, if someone doesn't show up, we always ask them to come back.
Yeah, and that's what I recommended that we do with Granite V&A this evening, John, according to our tradition. But we allocated the money to them, they're not here. So I'm saying this evening we should be consistent with this and try and fix this little problem next year.
It's not a little problem.
Okay, any other discussion?
John?
Yeah.
I think the ground rules discussion is the right thing to do. Can't explain why someone didn't show up, don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to figure out why they didn't, but I think it should be clear that if they don't, then they run the risk of forfeiting their entire submission, period. I mean, not a 50% haircut, a 25%. No, you run the risk of voiding your entire submission. And I think that should be the way I would phrase it.
But that's not what we did with Granite V&A.
I understand.
So you're going, I think.
No, I'm trying to move to a middle ground here. The situation with Granite V&A is done. The vote was taken, it's done. We now have a consistency question in front of us. The consistency question is a fair question to ask. There's a motion on the table. And what I'm saying is I'd be very supportive of writing a letter and saying, if you don't show up next year, you run the risk of losing it all.
To Bob's point, to your point,
Yes.
strengthen the letter.
Strengthen the letter.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
I wonder if the groups think that once they've already gone to the Board of Selectmen, that they've been approved and they feel like they don't have to show up at the budget committee.
That's not even a factor. These
I don't
people
think that's
know
it.
when they get a letter, they're supposed to be here. That's not even a factor.
I made a suggestion at our board meeting that maybe you have them come and we have a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee and they show up once.
I think we had a motion earlier in the season for that here, and the motion was defeated.
Yes, it was.
John?
Yes, sir.
Brian, to your point, these folks have been coming here for years, and they know they know the deal. They know how it works, and they've showed up for both meetings. You know, they've showed up at the select board, and then they've come to us. Granite V&A, Tri-County, they came here every year. In fact, I remember the one lady from Tri-County. I believe she lives up near Berlin. Bless you. And you know, she used to travel 2 hours one way, and I don't understand what's going on tonight. I really don't understand it, but I do think we have to draw up just some rules to strengthen this. But this year, I think we should do it the way we've already done it.
Did we send this out just as a letter?
I have to check with Amy. She made correspondence, and obviously some got them. I assume all of them would have gotten them, and
Sometimes the post office has been pretty poor and has lost some stuff, so.
She could have done it by email too, we don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, Tri-County didn't show up your night.
No, I'm fine with track, but for, I don't know if they're here. No, but we don't have with us, the Life Ministries. There's some that I just would have expected here that live right here in town, Life Ministries. And even the VNA. So it makes me think, and there's so few here, that something went wrong.
Yeah, the Kingswood Youth Center.
He's
He's always here.
So that's what it feels like to me, because there's so many of them not, yet some obviously got it. We got 68 hours of hunger here, but I don't think we have anything anybody else but that.
John?
Okay, I'm going to withdraw my motion and make another motion. I'm going to make a motion that we reconsider the Granite V&A vote, and that we, this evening on, we send letters to everyone that's in here asking them to come back, come to a meeting.
I'll second it, yeah, okay, Matt, yeah. And on the motion, John?
It's a okay.
On the motion?
Yeah, I might reconsider motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Then basically, I'm thinking, my idea is to table tonight, and as far as the agencies go, and try and re-communicate with every one of them, get a verification that they received our communication, and let's do this another night.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that are here.
There's two more here.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
They're here.
I'll adjust that idea, I'm sorry.
Otherwise, or we should just let them go and approve them. You know, we could do that. To be consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but give me trade receipts.
Here, let's let them talk.
Let me amend my idea. The ones we've already approved who are here, and the ones who are still here, and then let's do them, and then we can reschedule the rest of them, including the Granite V&A. Is that closer to what you, I just, that was just a...
Yeah, that'd be my motion
lapse.
to reconsider, yeah.
Can we vote on your motion first and then do another motion then, Bob? Because it's two different motions.
Yeah, mine, yeah.
In order to not make it tough on these people, can we hold the motion until we review the people that are here? Let's discuss this, let them do their presentations, let's get out of here and let's...
That would be wonderful.
And then we can consider what's going on.
Who do we have left over there? We've got 68 hours of hunger.
We're just gonna run this thing.
And who else do we have over there?
that's it.
Just 68 hours of hunger?
Yeah.
And then the library.
And then the library.
I really don't know. I don't think people got the mail or whatever, but that's nothing very unusual.
And can I don't think you have to make a motion unless you're changing it, because it's already in the budget.
No, the motion I made is to reconsider
No,
Granite V&A.
I'm just saying you don't have to vote on each one because they're already in there.
It was gonna be.
I want to apologize to you folks for making you wait.
Thanks for waiting.
It's been very informative.
Learned a lot about town government.
It's democracy.
We all work together?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the sausage being made.
Democracy in action, and it's a privilege to watch it.
Truly it is. And I would like to thank you for including us in the budget process as well. I'm Jan Brooks, and this is Eileen Levitt. We are two of the program coordinators from End 68 Hours of Hunger, and Carol Simpson is the third, but she couldn't join us here this evening. What we'd like to do tonight is give you an overview of the program so you know, have a better understanding of End 68 Hours of Hunger, and Wolfeboro's part in it, and then take any questions at the end. So our mission, we're a nonprofit organization that works to confront the approximately 68 hours of hunger that some children experience between the lunch they receive at school on Friday and the breakfast that they receive on school on Monday morning. Our vision is to provide weekend food for an average of 135 students, preschool through grade 6, each week, who are at risk of food insecurity. Due to the state of the economy and related costs, Families of preschool through grade 6 children living within the Governor Wentworth School District who are at risk of food insecurity look to and depend upon their child's bag of food that they receive each weekend. We are one of 49 chapters located mainly in the United States whose mission is to provide weekend food for children ranging from preschool to grade 6 who are at risk of food insecurity. We focus on the children within the Governor Wentworth School District. That includes Wolfeboro, which is Crescent Lake and Carpenter, Brookfield, Tuftonboro, Middleton, Ossipee, Effingham, Ossipee Head Start and Crossings, and the Wolfeboro Children's Center. Each child receives a bag of food on Friday afternoon that consists of 3 dinners, 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and snacks. Our organization does not delineate where a child lives. Rather, our goal is to ensure all children at risk of food insecurity receive food for the weekends. Therefore, our overall figures represent all children who receive the food, not by school. Our organization is solely run by 45 to 50 volunteers, and it consists of retirees, staff and students from the Governor Wentworth School District and Brewster Academy. They purchase, pick up, bag, and deliver the food. They fundraise, keep the communities informed, and document the financial expenditures and donations each month. All Saints Episcopal Church in Wolfeboro has provided us with a classroom for our storage and for a place where we put the food into the bags each week. The Governor Wentworth Regional School District has been very supportive as well. They provide buses and their drivers that pick up the weekly bags of food and deliver it to each of the elementary schools, where they meet a person at the school who takes the bags in and delivers it to the children. They also provide us with an outreach coordinator, the Ossipee counselor there, who coordinates the needs from each of the buildings. She'll contact all the counselors or the nurses in each of the elementary schools, and she gets back to us. We do not know the names of the children, we just know the numbers that they need, and they fluctuate. The cost of a weekend bag of food. In 2021 to 22, it was $14 per child. We had 111 children for 50 weeks. It was $77,700. Last year and this year, we've had to raise the cost, or we didn't raise the cost of food has increased, so it's $16 per child. We had 130 students, and for 38 weeks, it was $81,440. We've tried a number of times to extend the program to include the summer months, because obviously children are needed throughout the year, not just during the school year. However, because we don't have ways of transporting the food from our site to the schools, because not all the schools, all the children attend summer school, they have no way of getting their bags, so that we haven't been able to continue the program. We're very willing to, if we can get the recipients to find a place where they can pick up the food. There's been times when we've delivered the food to the schools, the next week those same bags are there. So that's one thing we need to work on. Our local communities, Wolfeboro also is incredibly supportive, both financially and publicly. We hold an annual appeals drive, major fundraisers, and we're sponsored by local businesses that our communities participate in. They sponsor and provide financial support. Our financial obligations are solely for the purchase of food, bags, and bins. And 5% of each of our monthly proceeds go to the executive director of the program. Last year, we served an average of 130 students at the cost of $16 per bag, which was costing us $2,080 per week. It's easily recognized that it takes a village to run our organization. A combined effort of individuals and businesses, along with fundraisers and grants received from the towns or private companies, that enable us to meet our mission of feeding children who are at risk of food insecurity. We rely solely on donations, fundraising, grants, and town budgets. Wolfeboro has always been very supportive to our program, and we thank you for your generosity. We want to update you on Wolfeboro's population. 2020 to 2021, there were 17 children. And that was $238 per week. And that was at $14 for the cost of the bag. 38 weeks, $9,044. 21-22, we had 14. So it went down from 17 to 14. That cost us $224 per week, 38 weeks, $8,512. 22-23, we had 20 students, so we've gone up again. And that's $320 per week, 38 weeks, $12,160. And thus far this year, we've had an average of 19 students. And it's $304 per week. School's been in session for 11 weeks. It's cost us $3,344. If we go all through the year at 19 students, it's going to cost us $11,552. So we thank the town of Wolfeboro for your continued support, and we're asking for level funding for the upcoming year.
John, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, with the cost of food going up, have you maintained the same quality of your menus?
Yes. Yes.
You've been able to do that? And is the 5,000 really sufficient?
With all the support that we've had from our communities, the towns, different private organizations, donations from people, it has been just fine. Yes.
We have been in place here in the communities for 10 years, and we've certainly seen the population of children needing food rise up to 200 a year. And we can't always predict. And of course, right now with some of the federal changes of some of the funding for SNAP, and we're anticipating changes. But we have been able to maintain a good source of funding and maintain, our prices are increasing, but we are able to continue to do the work that we've done.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what happens to the food insecurity of a child or a kid after school's over?
That's a struggle for us because there are some school programs that happen in each school.
No, I heard not all kids are going to summer school, so that's I guess my bigger question is, that is a problem.
It is.
It doesn't sound like there is, and I'm not laying this on your doorstep, that is a problem. You're here asking for level funding of a budget. We'll probably give you that. We still have an unsolved problem. What are we doing about it as a town?
It's a systems. I mean, we've looked at this in a variety of ways, and actually there are some programs across the state. One of them called Got Lunch. That one is in place in Plymouth. And if there were enough interested people, there might be a solution to that here in our local community. We haven't been able to take that on. In North Conway, they have a former principal of the Fuller Elementary School, and she bought a used ice cream truck. And she drives around with sandwiches to the campgrounds during the summer to feed the families that are there. So we have actually reached out and looked over these 10 years, because it is a loss to us to know that these kids, we can't reach them. And the strength of the program is we hand a bag to a child. It doesn't go to mom and dad. It doesn't go to wait for the food pantry to get transportation. So that's the strength of it. But there is a weakness there. And there's also, a desire on our part. The first 3 years of life are the most important for brain development. I heard someone earlier today talk about their developing brains. Well, we like to be feeding brains from birth to 3, but we don't have a system in place for that. So anybody that would like to tackle that or has concepts about how to solve that, we'd love to be a piece of that.
That is one thing that we have done, is we pose the question.
Yeah.
What can we do in your community? Hobbs has been incredible in Ossipee and wants to really reach out. He's closer to some of the families than we are, because we didn't know the name. So what can we do? So talking to the counselor, who's the coordinator for all of the elementaries, we've said, can you get your counselors to talk to the families to find out how can we get food to them over the summer? And you can just do so much. You can get the food there, whatever it is, but there's a little bit that they have to do too. They have to meet us there and pick it up. So and that's not always happened. So.
Paul, just to speak to maybe a solution, Rochester, mind you, it's one city, this district is spread out, but Rochester School District provides meals during the summer at their school. There's a big sign, you can't miss
You
it.
have to get there, though.
But they do have to get there, but it may be, maybe that's a solution.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a cooperative, a lot of involvement, you know. Obviously, the high school runs during the summer for summer program, and I think the cafeteria runs to some degree.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be an answer.
Paul, are you thinking of a solution?
I can't do it in a 5-minute chat. I see a hole.
Yeah.
I see a huge hole.
Yeah.
And I saw it when I was over on that side of the fence. And I'm not trying to be flip, but we'll feel really good that we approved this budget. We have a hole that goes unfilled. We'll feel really good about VNA and we'll approve it, but there's a hole that's unfilled. And a question that I think Brian asked early on, and that we should all ask ourselves is, I don't want to give the speech. People are important, kids, elderly, the whole thing, and it just seems to me like we're putting like we're sticking a finger in a leak, and we're fixing that one, and we're fixing that one, and we'll feel good that we have approved your budget. But I think we have a bigger issue that we need to think about. I don't know how to fix it. So that's all I got to say about it. I find it troubling that when school's out, the kids got to couch surf. Good luck, and it's not your fault. But the kid's hungry, and I think we have an opportunity here, and we need to maybe as the year goes on think about it.
So can I give you my email address, and when you come up with a thought?
Sure. I will come up with it.
2 o'clock in the morning.
What I do know is there's a lot of people in this town that raise a lot of money to do a lot of things. And the question I've asked consistently is, are we overlapping? Could we do a better job synergizing? And that was kind of the reason that I think Brian and maybe I did earlier, that if we could get together and maybe think together about this, as opposed to, our little things we have, we might be able to help. But sure, I'll take your reason why I said it.
I'm thinking we could do more.
I just don't know what the answer is, but the problem is pretty clear, right?
Well, I think this is like one of the important things that we can do.
It's a privacy issue.
But I think.
Let me ask you a question.
End all be all.
How did you get the food to the kids during COVID?
We had the buses going to the schools and dropping them off.
Okay, if you had the availability to get the food to the kids during the summertime, where's the food get prepared?
At All Saints.
Okay. Have you ever thought about giving someone mileage to go and deliver these meals? If you put $3,000 in there for mileage, would that help out to get those meals delivered?
The thing is we're not delivering it to individual houses. So we leave it still at the school, the families still have to come and pick it up. And that's the
Why
biggest
can't you
thing.
take it to the houses?
It's a privacy issue.
Yeah,
You can't do it.
we don't do that.
Help me with that one. What do you mean by that, Fran?
Well, it's just like at the high school, they, Nights Against Hunger, they do backpacks, so you would notice that a kid picked up a backpack and walked out with it.
Somebody may not want to tell them where they
Correct.
live.
I don't want to tell my kids.
They may not have a place to live.
Yeah,
Right.
So John,
Mr. Chairman,
during,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think this is a bigger issue than the budget.
Right.
I just want to say that, so that we can try to get back on the budget.
I appreciate that, thank you.
If somebody would
Thank
like
you, Jim.
to schedule a ad hoc committee to meet to talk about it, we'd be more than happy to work with anybody for more than 5 minutes. We talk 45 or 4
You're more than
hours.
welcome to come back when if these other people come back, you can
Okay.
come up with an idea to address it.
And just to let you know too, the anonymity piece is these children are not necessarily free and reduced lunch. Their parents aren't filling out the forms. They're recommended by the school counselors and nurses because they might be a family in crisis for a period of time. So it's a completely different group of children that we may be serving compared to the kids that fill out the federal form, families that fill out the federal forms.
What a lot of people don't know is that this is a New Hampshire charity. It was started by Claire Bloom out of Dover, New Hampshire. She was the first lieutenant commander of the USS Constitution in her career. And that she started this when she saw a need when she retired. So this is homegrown. This is grassroots.
She most recently did a TED Talk in Portsmouth, and very, 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 very good.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, if you wanted to come back, I'd be open to giving you more money, because I personally feel bad that we're spending more money to kill weeds than we are to feed children, but that's just me.
Did you have an amendment on that?
No,
Okay.
no public input. Any other questions? You guys have any questions?
Thank you very much.
You go talk it over, see if you come up with some ideas or something. I'm sure Mr. O'Brien will be willing to help you out on that.
Yes, I can.
We thank you for your support and
You
for
know,
the
actually, you would,
conversation.
John.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you're a pretty involved guy.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the library.
Are we gonna make a
John,
motion to?
I think we-
approve the 5,000?
You don't need to, it's
No, we
already
don't
in the
need
budget.
John,
Yes, sir.
I think we have to clean up our agencies.
Okay.
And so I have a couple of suggestions. The first one, I think we should,
Thank you.
thank you. The first one, I think we should make a motion to withdraw the allocation to the Granite V&A for a later visit. I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it.
Just,
We still have a motion on the
wait,
table.
right.
I thought he withdrew it, I'm sorry.
No, he didn't, not a second one,
Okay.
so hold on.
What do you want to do, Bob?
Well, I want to do two things. The first thing I want to do is make a motion to withdraw the allocation to the Granite V&A.
Okay.
Then the second thing I want to do is schedule another date and notify all the agencies in a letter that we can talk about, except Meals on Wheels, the Wolfeboro Children's Center, and 68 Hours of Hunger, because they showed up, they were here. Okay? And,
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion to reconsider. And accept your motion to second to Bob's first motion.
okay, and that's a motion to withdraw the allocation to the Granite V&A.
Second.
It's already been seconded.
Sorry, you go first.
Any discussion on that motion, that particular motion? Okay, roll call that motion, please, Leanne.
Bobby?
Yes.
Boobman, sorry. Bob Tupper?
Yes?
John McDonald?
Yes.
Tom Bell?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Matt Clash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
And Paul O'Brien?
Yes.
And Brian?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. You have another motion.
We went backwards.
Okay, so I make a motion to schedule another date for the agencies and notify all agencies of said date with a letter to let them know that they must appear, except the agencies that were in attendance tonight and were approved, including Meals on Wheels, the Wolfeboro Children's Center, and 68 Hours of Hunger. Did I miss anybody?
I'll second that.
That's everybody, I believe.
No, but I think you invited these people back, so they might want to be noticed of the next meeting.
But they're not required.
Good point.
Okay. But they wouldn't know you're having a meeting if you didn't send them.
Well,
the
Leanne, will you
I
give
will.
them a call? Thank you.
I'll second Bob's motion.
What was the motion again?
Okay, the motion is to schedule another date and to notify all agencies to appear on that date, except the ones who showed up tonight and were approved.
And if they don't appear, what happens?
Well, I think the letter should be formulated to be firm enough to let them know that if they do not appear to this committee, that they might lose their allocation along those lines.
I would second that.
Any
Did you
further
put that in the
discussion?
motion?
What's that?
Is that in the motion?
Well, I'm hoping it's in the letter.
Well, who's writing the letter?
Well, you guys are writing the letter, no?
I'm just asking.
I'll write the
She
letter,
just-
I'll write the letter so it gets certified mail, I'll write the letter. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
It doesn't have to be this difficult, folks. Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor of Bob's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Move on to the library.
There is a library. Oh, good.
Under the library
Here
tab.
we are.
Would you be our new librarian? Are you our new librarian?
Yes.
Yes.
I've never met you, I don't think a lot of folks, you just introduce yourself, that would be great.
Of course, Allison Rutley, started in June, it's been a long time, June of this year, so almost 6 months.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Where did you come from, Allison?
Originally from Boston, Mass.
Okay.
I was actually in the private sector for a long time, but started at the Boston Public Library.
Oh, good.
BPO, all right.
There you go.
Great Lions.
Do you have
They
anything
do
you
have
want to
great
talk to us
lines.
about as far as the direction you see the library going in the future and under your kind of administration?
I'm sorry?
Do you have anything you want to tell us about how the library's going to, move on under your kind of administration? Have any changes or?
Well,
that you
we're
see?
in the process right now of doing some strategic planning. We don't have a strategic plan right now. We have a mission statement. We're following through with the mission statement, but our hope is for 2024 is to actually have a 5-year strategic plan.
Okay, take a look at the 100 series.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any overtime, or are we about to commend you for no overtime?
No overtime.
Okay.
You are fully staffed?
As of Monday, we are fully staffed. We had an open position in circulation, which was part-time, and we just hired a lovely person who started on Monday and seems to be working out very well.
Excellent. Okay, 200 series. $300 series.
341?
Okay.
Do you have something that wasn't expended yet as of '23?
I'm sorry, I pulled up the...
That's okay.
Oh, that was, yes, that was, we were paying our own telephone, and we now are under a town contract with our telephone and our copier.
But wasn't this where you also, you were paying it out of outside services, right?
And I was paying it out of outside services, yes.
So what's going to be happening next year? That it's going up to 900 from 0 this year and 268, 34 2 years ago.
That was the change in the contract that we had with the town. So we paid it, the library paid its own bills, and then we went under a town contract, which reduced the rates for both our copiers and telephone.
So the outside services bill goes down, the communications bill goes up, is that kind of how that works?
Yep. Yes.
So where, Casey, where'd the money go this year that next year it's popping back in? I guess that's my question.
380. She was charging, she had one phone bill, which was her phone and her internet, and she was paying it all out at 380.
Okay, so now you're shifting that
Yes.
money, okay.
Yes, so it's
Thank
clear.
you.
It's
I
it's
understand
where
that.
it should have
I had a
been.
I'm
question
sorry.
mark on that, so that's
Yes.
great. Thank you.
Okay, 400 series.
$410. We're at 86. Are we missing something that we're bumping up to 15 and we were at 13? before.
Where am I looking? I'm sorry.
You have about a
Electricity.
$7,000 deficit, right, that you haven't paid. Is that coming due, or?
This is, give me a moment, excuse me.
Take your time. So her actuals were 15,000 in 2020. In 21, they were 14,000. In 22, they were 13,000. So,
Well, yeah, actuals were 13. We're sitting at 8,600. I'm guessing there's something due, but to bring it up to the 15, we're.
right, in 2020, they did spend 15,000.
We pretty much kept it at what it was last year. Are the changes were in the sewer because that actually had increased. But we kept it at basically what it was at last year.
Right. And even though it says October actuals, you wouldn't have gotten October's electric bill till like 2 weeks into.
Still got a quarter of
So
the
it's
year.
probably-
So there's still one
Yeah,
quarter left.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And this building is heated by heat pumps, which, when the building was converted, oil went away, and as a result, the electric bill increased.
And when you're considering solar panels?
We are. As a matter of fact, the USDA is coming in for a tour on December 5th. So hopefully we'll get that grant. We're hoping.
Do we have to put money up towards that?
No, it's going to come out of grants and donations.
You will see a warrant article relative to it, so that the library trustees can accept donations.
Okay, thank you. 500.
Oh, wait, I want to go to 412 water. There's a jump there. 22 actual, 601. Right now, we're sitting at 573, and we're jumping up to 1241.
There is another water bill due.
Okay.
We just paid our sewer. I think we're going to be pretty much right on the money.
Your rates went up slightly in water and sewer, so that's a little bit why the budget year over year is increasing. And is one of them is quarterly, so this probably only was 6 months worth of bills.
Yes.
But that's almost double from 22. And then this year is still sitting, so even paying, I mean, you're 9 months in. We're certainly not going to be up to the 1241. I mean, I get that it's an increase from the 1,100, almost 1,200, but we're only sitting at 573, and it jumped from the 601.
This-
Go ahead.
So this line, to me, it's what I call a P times Q, price times quantity. The library has no influence over quantity used. They have to pay the P. So if somebody wants to come in and flush the toilet more than they normally do, the water bill will go up. It's a P times Q. Unless, are you putting in a sprinkler system?
No.
Okay, so, to me, it's a P times Q.
The increase of usage of the library in the last year has been quite substantial. I have statistics here of the different programs and the people who came through the door. We actually have 28,000 patrons who have entered the building from January through.
That's a good metric. That's a good metric.
From January to present. So we've seen a huge increase.
I'm just asking if this accurately,
But with that increase-
reflects what,
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking about a crazy budget here,
I
so is
understand.
this somewhere
Yeah.
where we can just tell the taxpayers, oh yeah, we're not spending that much, right? It's just a question. If you
Yes,
need
no.
it, then you need it, but is it really needed, is my question.
I think what happened last year was that they projected the budget as best they could. With the changes in the building, with the pandemic that had ended, and the changes here that we're seeing with activity here at the library, which has increased, I would say, twofold in this year.
Can we make that as a revisit,
Certainly.
please?
Yeah.
Both the water and sewer.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, 400 series. 500. 600.
Yes, John.
Yes, sir.
I have a question on 670. Okay, so the 2023 budget, 45,279, and it was raised and approved by the town manager and the select board at 72,000.
59,529.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sorry, I jumped on the next line down. So 59,529 for a raise of 31.47%. It seems like a lot.
It does.
And I'm wondering if there are any extenuating circumstances that have led to this increase.
In 2023, the staff that put together the budget were very conservative in this area. They did not calculate the increases to publications in this past year. We also have a huge need for an increase in large print for our senior citizens, and that community has come to us to actually increase our collection in large print. Our downloadables have gone up and increased by Overdrive, which is the New Hampshire State Library online system. They have gone up on us at 27% for this year. Our downloadables for Hoopla has also gone up 20% for this year. We only saw those projections in the last couple of months, so they were added into the 2024 budget.
Could I,
Yep. Go ahead.
tell me about the downloadables from the state again, please?
Sure, it's called Hoopla, and, well, I'm sorry, it's called Libby.
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 Okay, I got it, because I was trying to, it's Libby.
It's called Libby.
So the Libby, the price to download a book on tape, old world term, has gone up 27% from the state?
We pay an annual fee to the state, which is Libby.
Yeah.
That's gone up 27%, and that was a change in the formula.
Has usage grown?
Here immensely.
So that fee, is that,
The formula changed
Yeah.
because of our increase in usage.
I see, okay, I got it.
That's me, I'm using it, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
She's using it.
I'm using Hoopla and Libby. It's me.
Everybody's using it. And Hoopla, we do not pay an annual fee, but we pay per title, or per music, or per audio tape. Because we've seen at least a 4% increase in the last couple of, I would say the last 6 months, we're paying more. So that has gone up about 20% on us, due to the fact of the increase in usage.
So, one more, John?
Yeah.
So you're in the Minuteman network for Hoopla? Is it part of the Minuteman consortium?
They did the consortium buy, yes.
So if I join the Minuteman, I don't pay a fee?
Well, you actually, if you're a member of the Wolfeboro Library,
You
you're
don't
not
pay
paying
a
a
fee.
fee either.
The library pays.
Yeah. Maybe that's a reconsideration.
There you go.
Okay, we all set. Let's move on to 700.
I got one.
So can I go back to 620?
Yeah.
Your office supplies
Yes.
doubling?
No, we're,
Doubling actual, we have a 1,400 actual to a budget of 3,000, but the budget is level funded.
Office supplies is 620. I mean, the biggest part of that is the printer copy paper.
yeah, but I have not increased, that was not increased at all.
No, I
She's
get that,
comparing
but
it
when
to
I'm
last
looking at the 5-year average and I'm
Oh,
looking,
I
so
see.
I'm not just stepping back into last year, I'm looking, trying to go back a little bit and see what we're actually spending. And what we're actually spending, we're not averaging the 3,500, is that somewhere where you can give a little?
I mean, we basically, I level funded that line item, just hoping that we would just stay within that purview. But, yeah, I guess.
What do you think you can get?
She said 0.
I mean, I'm up at this point in the game, I'm up at our actuals, I'm at 78% of the budget.
Which is what number?
Which is $853.49.
Are you on line 620? We're on line 6.
She's looking at her actuals as of now.
So you have 800 and something dollars left.
I have 800 and on operating supplies. On office supplies, I have 1,800 and change.
Left.
1,800 left.
So could you give on that line a little?
Sure.
I mean, my only, speaking, I chair as a treasurer, I chair the finance committee, and a lot of our projections we based off of what Cindy had historically funded for the library. And obviously those numbers changed during COVID because utilization went down.
Yep.
As Allison has mentioned, utilization's gone up. I'm not sure if we have purchase, because those numbers, some of those are as of
October.
October. And so I'm not sure if we have purchase orders that have been fulfilled or that will be going out and fulfilled. So I'm not sure. We may spend the $1,800. I'm just not sure. Do you know if we have any?
We buy our office supplies every month.
Sure.
So I don't know where it's going to be at. Obviously, we're in a freeze, so I kind of do know where we'll be at.
Okay.
But,
I mean, if you have
That was
to
a
give,
good one. That was a good one.
if you have to give from somewhere to help the taxpayers of this town, because obviously I like hoopla, I want to keep my hoopla more than I want to keep copy paper.
I mean, if that is something that you'd like to discuss, absolutely. I mean, it's something that's there and available. But I don't foresee what's happening next year. You don't know what a crystal ball is. If I basically have an increase this year of patrons, I'm probably going to have an increase of patrons next year.
I'd like to make a motion to drop line 620 by $1,500 to $2,000.
Is there a second? Seeing none, hearing none, the motion fails.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So you kind of teased a little bit with your comment there a second ago. What's your notion of how many people are going to come through the door next year, as you're doing your strategic plan, of course?
I've been here 6 months, and the activity level that I've seen in this library is incredible. I mean, our meeting rooms are full every day. People who come through this door are not only here for the library, but they're here for programming. They're here for social events. I see an increase. We just brought in a cribbage group. There are a lot of people using this as a community center.
So this was a conversation without a number in it, but it leads me to infer that the direction is up, and so Bobby, I would be less inclined to have a conversation about office supplies at this time. But you're telling me that the direction is positive, even though you didn't have any numbers. That's okay. That's all I needed to know.
Yes, I am.
Okay, 700, 800 series.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
When someone comes in and makes a copy, do they not pay for that? Is there a revenue that's balancing this out on the other side, Casey?
Yes, there is. We charge for copies.
Yep.
So at the bottom of page 6 is the details and that revenue, fee income. It doesn't bring down this budget because we have to gross budget, but they are offsetting.
No, I just was wondering if there was a revenue for that copy paper that you're
Yes.
saying that much more copy paper we're buying. There's an offsetting revenue.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, 700 series, 800 series.
Line 830.
Okay.
Department head request is 2,000. Selectman, town manager jumped it to 5. Explanation.
The $5,000, that was our request. I-
Program.
It was the request from the Board of Trustees.
Yeah, we decided that our finance committee as an entire.
But the department head request is 2,000.
Yeah, we asked her to change it.
The book had already been processed when she came in, and she made the request when we did the review to increase it to 5,000, so that's where we placed it.
So that's part of the uptick.
We were late in the process. We've updated our budget process and had the trustees, actually the finance committee, work after she presents, bring it to the trustees, and we're late in the process, so.
Thank you.
What are the changes in the programs? What are you adding for the extra 3,000?
So for programming and professional development, the library is currently planning to expand our services to the special needs community. Right now, our youth services librarian is going through an ASL, American Sign Language program. It's a 12-week program. We're actually trying to partner with the Children's Center and their special ed teachers to try to do programs here in the library, and to expand that also to the adult special needs community. We have a little bit of a ramp up for training, and some of that training will indeed mean some travel for a couple of our professional staff. We just started to introduce a few programs, so it's going to be a slow journey through 2024, but that is in our strategic plan.
Question, Joe?
Yes.
How do, or does Makerspace play in your view of things going forward?
They've actually helped us do a couple of projects.
On the program side,
Out here, we worked with the Kingswood group. Our youth services librarian, she reaches out to virtually every different organization.
And just the way I process what you're saying, you were kind of very positive on working with the Children's Center, and that's a great thing.
Yes.
It's super duper. It would be great to hear that, I'm not here to promote the makerspace, but it'd be a great thing if, you know, we're starting to knit together things like that, right? Because they offer something that you don't.
And we're seeing that we don't want to duplicate efforts, so we're now starting to have conversations.
Good, okay.
And making sure that we're not duplicating programs here in the fall.
Okay, anything else for the library?
Will the conversation about capital outlay or the solar, will that come later?
That'll be during more hours.
Okay, thank you.
There won't be any money on that though, right?
No.
So we won't have a vote concerning that.
Where's money?
Yeah, but it's an offsetting donation.
It is, okay.
So that there would be a vote.
Okay.
But it may have, clearly it's gonna have an OpEx impact as you look out. You'll be able to kind of listen to what the operating expense is gonna be on the electric side.
We have all, they're generating that data with us, and I think it's a positive progression to have them come and do a tour with us on the 4th of December.
If you could pass on thanks to the trustees and the Friends of the Library for all the hard work and donations they've done this past year. You know, they do a lot for computers and things like that, and we appreciate that. Do you have anything else you want to talk to us about?
Welcome aboard.
It seems as though our generator is going to arrive, I believe, at some point. It was supposed to be the last weekend of November, but we're hoping it's coming. It looks like it will be installed, and we've already been looking at the tanks that are going in the back of the building that we'll be sharing with the fire and the police department.
The other thing too is there was only $120,000 left in the building project that was going to lapse at the end of the year. So there was about a $40,000 shortfall. We were able to access trust money for that purpose. So, yeah, and the check, $45,000 check is in the mail or has been received by Casey.
Has not been received yet.
Not received yet, but we've been told by New Hampshire Trust it will be there, so we didn't have to have a warrant article to raise the money for it, which is good.
So that the propane for this year, that's gonna reflect the new generator?
Yes, last year it was for a 1,000-gallon tank. This year it had to be brought up to a $2,000 tank.
So when they did the actual engineering, the amount of propane that was required to operate the generator was 2,000 gallons.
How long do they figure that's gonna last, if it's when it's running? Any idea?
They have the calculations based on a full load, and, I mean, it'll last a long time for this building.
Okay.
The other thing, Mr. Chairman, is we've taken some of our money from bank accounts that weren't earning interest, and we've now invested another $226,000 that was sitting not earning interest. So it should earn each year anywhere from 3 to 5%, which is going to be beneficial to future endeavors. So, you know, it's been a long process. We created investment policies, though, and have worked with our money manager to really do that. So it was great. I drove down about $300,000 and gave it to the Hampshire Trust, and they put it into the accounts, and they have it invested for us now.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Good deal. Yeah.
that's all.
Okay, that's all I have for the agenda tonight. I guess the,
We're doing minutes?
no, I think we're gonna put that on for tonight. Public comment? Mr. DeShay, did you have a public comment?
Yeah, my one thing I was going to say is the Conway Public Library does an open meal site. There are federal programs or municipalities working with nonprofits or themselves incurring the cost. There's matching grants that the state and federal government will cover. So it's part of what I do actually for my work. We coordinate with some of our community volunteers or other folks who coordinate different coalitions around the state. There actually is a coalition in Carroll County, the Carroll County Food Access Network, with UNH Extension and everything, and constantly coordinating, trying to expand access to those type of programs. And there's congregate meal sites for seniors or for adults. There's open meal sites for children through the summer meals program. So really, there's a myriad of ways to deliver those services, and it's something the town can very easily partner with any nonprofit.
So given all the stuff we heard this evening from our organization, is the things you're involved in going to create a plus benefit at the end of the year, a measurable plus benefit?
Well, you would measure that
Or
by
do we
the...
have to do something else?
Well, it depends on how you measure the benefit. I would say you measure the benefit by, there are clearly people who are hungry in the community, and by the number of meals you're able to provide. And you have to keep those counts, obviously for reporting requirements for the grants. And you apply for the grant, every single year and establish a meal site. That's likely, I'm pretty sure that's what Rochester's is. It's hosted in the school, but it's hosted by the Stratford County. It's a nonprofit. And they don't just do that site. They have like 5 sites throughout Stratford County. So there's ways to work with a nonprofit to access that federal money and offer meals at set times on a regular schedule. And part of my job actually is involved in creating a flyer or bulletin to explain where every summer meal site might be in a community, so then direct service providers can distribute that information so families know when they can access meals.
Get those 2 ladies in touch with him.
I gave my business
I just
card.
heard it. Sounds great. I mean,
Yeah.
the do is what's kind of important, right? To say is good.
The school district does have a summer meal site, but it's a closed site for the summer school kids in Ossipee, and that's the only one. Conway Public Library doesn't open one, so.
Okay, so I'll catch up with those folks, right?
Make a motion to
Hold on, anything else?
Bobby has questions.
Okay,
I have a
Bobby.
question. I just have a quick question. I did notice in the paper that we are advertising another full-time job. Has that been?
What do you mean, another full-time job?
For in the recreation department, there was an ad. Are we fulfilling that job, or is that part of the freeze?
I did not hear you. Which position?
There was a position advertised in the newspaper this
There's like
week.
3 of them out there.
At least 2 I know of.
Okay, and I'm wondering if there's a freeze on those.
Yep.
So those have a freeze, we're not filling
Well,
those jobs at this
no,
time?
we absolutely want to fill those jobs, but at this point in the year, we're not going to be able to fill them anyways until the 2024
I'm
budget.
asking, are they part of the budget?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I would not,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
they are part of the operating budget.
Okay.
The 2024 budget.
and the 2024 budget. They're part of the 2023 budget.
Right,
We have
right.
vacancies that have become prevalent. The jobs have posted. A couple of them are within enterprise funds.
Yeah.
So, and we know that we aren't gonna be able to fill them until after the new year anyways. Nobody's gonna wanna change a job in December.
Right. Okay, does anyone have anything else? Take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tonight.